Picture this. You're enjoying your life with utmost peace on the sofa. Engulfed in warm delicate blankets, comfort at its maximum capacity, and you open your phone to allow in a sudden hindrance to your life. Yes, you've allowed this to happen. A pure whirlwind of destruction to your psyche. In these moments, you try but cannot undo what you've exposed to your brain's fragility. Unable to turn away, you venture further into what tunnels you to your fate. A catastrophe is ahead. Picture number 1. I put glass to my friend's throat, gaslighted her about it. Then she gave me a bracelet the next day. It's still kinda hard to conceive this as being as blanked up as I can logically be sure it is. My friends in middle school, when this happened, were kinda confusing. A lot of things were confusing, and still are, but I guess a lot of situations I found kinda hard to conceive as real or having the same ethics and etiquette. There's a lot of things, and probably going to be more things, that looking in retrospect with all the things I've learned, I'm in high school now, are just insane or horrible things. So anyway, one time I was out in this area, I don't know what it's called, with a few friends. We weren't that close but I tagged along with them, and I think they were kinda playing a game or something and so was I sorta. Or at least I was there while they were or trying to as well. Something. But I know as part of it I just decided to grab a shard of glass that was on the floor and put it to this one girl's throat. I didn't even really think much about it. I think I was sorta blank off for some reason. But either way she didn't do anything nearly significant enough to provoke it. She was mad, of course, and I think she said, "I don't appreciate having glass at my throat." And at that point I just sorta conceived it as not good. So, as was quite the pattern for me back then, deflected the blame. I said something like, "Wow, why are you so mad? I wouldn't actually do it. Were you bullied or something?" And yeah, she was, so she was pretty willing to put the blame on them too. I don't think she didn't completely, but I think her anger at whoever they were was obviously more than what she had at me. Then the next day I see her, she gives me a bracelet, and from then on we were just normal friends. She supposedly had a crush on me as well, but I'm not gonna say anything. Whether or not her wanting to be my friend or maybe girlfriend was because she thought me threatening her was fine. Or maybe she was into it. Doesn't change the fact that I went in intending to deflect the blame and threatened her with glass. I am sorry to her. I think I'd like to genuinely apologize if I see her again. I remember recalling the situation before and being like, oh yeah, that wasn't great. But I guess only now have I really conceived it as something severe. I guess it does kinda make myself slightly uneasy about myself, more so guilty. Given that this was just something I just kinda saw this as a petty blank move at the time. I know I am a blank, but I'm also very empathetic and understand what it right and wrong. But even though I didn't see it the same back then, I was still acting maliciously. So yeah, there's the confession. Wheeling in picture number 2. I would steal money from my parents and ended up taking over $100. To clarify, I am a minor and still live under their roof. It all started around 4th or 5th grade when I wanted money for school events, such as the book fair, fundraisers to get prizes, etc. It began with just a mere $20 I had taken from my mom's wallet, which I later spent at school. But $20 turned into $40, $60, and more. I was able to stop myself when the major guilt set in, but I would sometimes steal $5 to take with me to spend at a gas station when with friends. I believe my reason was for validation from others around me, as I was always known as the person who never had money and couldn't pay for her own meal if going out with friends. My parents make a good amount of money, enough so we can live comfortably with some left to spare for vacations, but don't believe in the whole allowance system and instead make us kids do chores for our money or wait until our birthdays. People always thought that was weird and it made me feel like an outcast, which, looking back, was pretty stupid. I'm so grateful for all my parents have done for me and I feel terrible, so once I start working minimum wage soon I'm looking to pay them back. Now broadcasting picture number 3. I stole my classmate's lil Lego figure back in 2nd grade. I asked to borrow it from him and he never got it back. When he started wondering where it went, I kept my mouth shut until he started asking the other kids. Brought it home that day and lost it in a few days. This was the first and last toy I've stolen. I'm so sorry. Presenting picture number 4. I hit a parked car and drove away because I didn't have a license. Years ago, I didn't have a driver's license, but I didn't let a little technicality like that stop me from driving. I was pretty new to driving, and not very good. Had no license. No permit. But I would take my dad's spare old car that he was planning on selling. One day I was turning and smashed into a car that was parked on the street. I looked at it in my rear-view mirror. The bumper was ripped off and pieces of the car were in the street. It was in pretty bad shape. I drove away. My car, Dad's car, was fine, so I went home like nothing happened and just prayed I wasn't captured on some type of camera. Got away with it as far as I know. Behold. Picture number 5. Qualified as a nurse on IDME even though I'm not a nurse. So a while back Chipotle was running this promo giving nurses and healthcare workers free burritos. And even though I'm not a nurse or healthcare worker, my poor starving blank thought, blank, it would be nice to have a burrito. So I went to try and verify my status even though I didn't expect it to work. I just put in my name and all my info, and when it asked for my license number I just put 555,555. For however many digits it was. And I got verified. I was honestly shocked. Maybe there is another person with my exact name, address, phone number, email, and a license number consisting of only the number 5. Anyways, I got the free burrito. And it tasted way better since it was free. Also I got extra meat and guac for free as well. And ever since then I've been getting emails about using my discount at different stores and stuff. And I have tried to log into my account and unverify myself, but I don't think I can. Oh well, at least I got the free burrito. Revealing picture number 6 up next. I stole my friend's favorite toys for months in primary school and never told her. When I was in primary school, me and my friend group really enjoyed collecting and playing with LPS, Littlest Pet Shop. I got into it a bit later than them, and lied about being in the fandom way longer, and didn't have many, the ones I did have being unpopular and bad. I always made excuses like, oh sorry, my mum doesn't let me bring them into school because they're expensive and she doesn't want them getting stolen, so I was never pressured to bring any in. They let me borrow them to play, because they were kind and good friends despite me being a terrible one. When this specific friend, we'll call her Lizzie, brought in new, cool LPS to show and play with, I got extremely jealous. I'd say, ooh, I have that one at home. I'll ask if I can bring it in tomorrow, and they'd be excited for it. TJEN, when we were going back to class, I'd fall behind and look around in her bag for them. I'd hide them in my own bag and quickly go to class. This continued for longer than I can remember, with countless different ones. I'd bring them in the next day to prove I had them, and one by one my collection grew. Scattered around my room I have around 200 LPS, all of which stolen from Lizzie and a few from our friends. To try and throw her off my trail, I'd lie and say that I saw someone in a long black coat going into her bag at break times. It was pretty far-fetched, but I thought that was a good lie being a year 4. What made it worse is I tried to convince her with an absurd lie. That the thief had no legs, and they were a floating coat and hat. Another time, I took one that she really cared about because her grandfather gave it to her before he died, which I don't know is true, but it made me guilty enough to return it to her. She was crying and the little dog appeared back in her bag before the next class. Doing this, stealing from someone else's bag in the middle of the hall, was exhilarating to me. I could have been caught at any moment by a teacher or classmate, but I never was as far as I can recall. But the thing that encouraged me more than the feeling of risk was the feeling of jealousy. I was very envious of everyone around me and I loved how it felt. To this day I really enjoy fiction about jealousy and betrayal, and I don't know why. It fueled me to do something horrid and I never felt guilt except for the previously mentioned. Despite this, she is still an amazing friend and never brought it up even though it's so painfully obvious I was the one stealing them. I can't even bear the thought of selling or giving them away because they mean a lot to me and my childhood even though they literally weren't mine in the first place. The only person I've told about this is my closest friend and they made fun of me for feeling bad about something so unimportant and petty. Anyways, I'm sorry for being such a terrible friend, Lizzie. Featured next is picture number 7. I take it out at work a lot. And not just when I have the place to myself. And I love it. There are overhead doors at the front that face traffic and in the rear that face an office building. Usually at the end of the day I'll let it hang out when I reach up to close them. Of course I want people to see, but I really don't know how I would explain it if I got caught. I'll also put it on inventory. It's a small car dealership. And send pictures to a friend who isn't my girlfriend. We both get a kick out of it.